Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. This is the third of five-part Endpoint Insights webinar series. If you've missed the other two, I'll be pasting the link to those recordings in the chat. But speaking of chat, please keep the chat option or the chat functionality open for just the usual riffraff. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A part of this. It makes it a lot easier for myself, Garth, and Marty to keep track of the questions and make sure we're answering all of them. Just like our previous webinars, we will be giving out 4 $100 gift cards to lucky viewers today. So watch for those at the end of this. But if this is not your first time, if it is your first time, thank you, welcome. These two faces should look pretty familiar. We've got Garth Jones, Marty Miller, both superstars, backgrounds in the space. Fun fact, Garth is the founder and creator of Enhanceoff, which is now Endpoint Insights. All right, let's do the agenda. So Garth is going to do a great job explaining what Endpoint Insights is. If this is the first time hearing it, we'll be doing a demo. The demo will be Endpoint Insights plus kind of right-click tools and how the Better Together story works. Obviously, lots of Q&A, very conversational throughout the entire webinar. One thing we don't have on the agenda is there will be a plethora of dad jokes sprinkled in throughout the webinar. I'm pretty sure we actually have a poll focused on that. So without further ado, Garth, let's take it away.
Yes, well, hi. For those of you who don't know, I'm Garth Jones. So the overview of Endpoint Insights. Here's the slide. You guys can all read it, but the short version of, or the summary of this slide is Endpoint Insights extends the inventory of SCCM or Microsoft Endpoint Protection or Endpoint Configuration Manager. I swear I'm only drinking tea. I swear it. And allows you to get a better understanding of your whole environment. So in this webinar, Marty and I are going to show you how Endpoint Insights and right-click tools are better together on this. So Marty, what's our next slide? I forgot if it's the demo slide. Okay, let's talk about better together. So Marty, where do we go from here?
Absolutely. I think the first thing that we are going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and hit that first poll that asks, are you currently using Endpoint Insights or something similar to that is what the question is asking. Are you using Endpoint Insights now?
Maybe not like, nailed it.
Maybe not like right now, but maybe like, you have it in your environment and you can use it because hopefully, theoretically, you're watching us on a webinar right now.
Live in person. So yeah, so here you go. The 3 yes, I'm loving it because obviously if you got yes, you're loving it. No, I'm here to learn more about it. Or if you're just here for the dad jokes and old movie references, which I noticed Jeff skipped over in both of our profiles. I would just like to point that out. But yeah, if we could just go ahead and we'll finish up this poll and then we'll take a look a little bit at doing some Endpoint Insights things and see how right-click tools and Endpoint Insights can work together.
Well, before I actually give away control of the presentation, we do have one more slide.
More dad jokes.
It is a question, it looks like. So I have one. What did the ocean say to the beach, Garth?
What did the ocean say to that? I don't know. What did the ocean say to the beach?
The ocean didn't say anything to the beach. It just waved.
Oh.
All right, very good. Do we have results for our poll? That was a sleeper.
We do have results in. The majority are not currently using Endpoint Insights, but are very excited to learn more about this. So,
awesome.
Marty,
very cool.
You'd like to take away my screen sharing and go for it.
You are going to need to stop screen sharing before I can grab it. It looks like.
You're right. Here we are.
Here we go. Cool. So we are going to take a look at Endpoint Insights and what we're talking about a little bit, we're talking about the Better Together story. So exactly how does Endpoint Insights and right-click tools work together? The first thing that I'm going to point out if you've used right-click tools before, even if you have the community version installed, you get these dashboards that are right here. And it's possible with the community version, you've never looked at these because you're like, I don't have that. And I'm not going to worry about it. But there is actually a dashboard here called Endpoint Insights. And if you click on that Endpoint Insights dashboard, it's actually going to show you, if you have Endpoint Insights, it's going to show you some reports that Garth has meticulously selected as being very important reports that everybody would like to read. And you can see that Garth is smiling at me a little bit there. And you also will have, even if you have the community version, will have access to these ConfigMgr native reports. So the ConfigMgr native reports are reports that always have existed in the ConfigMgr reporting. So we're not adding any reporting there necessarily, but you can actually do some right-click tools things with them. And we're going to start, I'm just going to, this is probably a bad one to pick even because I wasn't 100% planning on doing it this way, but you can go ahead and select these. And if there is a place where you have an actual computer that you can do an action against, you still should be able to do the community version of those actions.
So the product lifecycle, I believe you can drill down.
Okay. So let's go ahead.
This is not the way we planned it, Marty.
I know.
Yeah,
I
you're
got
throwing me
so
off,
excited,
Marty.
Garth. I got so excited. I just started looking at this and I thought I'd go here and then we'll go back to what we had originally planned. So let's go ahead and did I select all?
Select all is fine.
There we go.
And oh, maybe you can't see the who's got it on this one.
That's okay. So what we'll do in a second here is we'll show you in a regular report how you can actually click and get information about devices. But in these reports, if you get to some that actually have device information, you can go ahead and click on them and go from there. So the first thing, and now I'll get Garth back onto his back onto the schedule so we're not too worried about what's going on, so I don't throw another one at Garth, is we're going to talk just a little bit about the information about your devices. And where we're going to do that, I'm back. What we're going to actually do is one of the other ways where Endpoint Insights exists is our right-click tools. And if you go to Endpoint Insights right here, we can get information about the computer in our all-in-one computer view. And that is going to go ahead. It is going to pop up. It may have popped up behind, which, nope, that's the product life cycle again. There is our all-in-one computer view. And we can get information about
computer warranty, monitors, docking stations, software on that stuff. But where does the better together come together on this?
Right. So I did mention before that if you see a device, you can actually click a device name. You can actually click on it and take action right from inside the dashboard right here, or inside the all-in-one computer view report. So if, for example, you wanted it to go ahead and do a hardware inventory cycle for some reason, if you wanted it to do, essentially any of the right-click tools should be available. Here as well to have them go and start something. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to our a specific machine that I want to take a look at and find. We're going to do that all-in-one computer report again on that one. Oh, weird. It's a computer that I'm connected to right now if you look on who's the current user. But if I go to our Endpoint Insights, go into our all-in-one computer view, one of the things takes just a second to load up here. I'm sure I clicked on it.
Well, Marty's doing that. Feel free to put in the chat where you guys are all from. And also don't forget the Q&A. I've got it on my other screen over here. So if there's any questions you guys have, Marty or I, or even Jeff will gladly answer that on it. And just remember, wherever you go, there you are.
Absolutely. Well, that doesn't want to seem to load for me right at this moment, which is okay, because we're going to go ahead and go at this a different direction. So you may have recalled from that other one, it was showing some information about software updates on there as well. But what we are going to do is we're actually going to take a look at software updates from the Endpoint Insights side. If you've worked with right-click tools a lot, we've talked a lot about how right-click tools does reporting on software updates. What we're going to do this time is we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at what Endpoint Insights looks like for updates. So if you look here, you can actually select classification for all the different kinds of updates. If you want to know about specific ones and not others, you can absolutely deselect certain ones. You could also go ahead and select a software update list. So these would be our automatic deployment rules that created these software update groups here. We're going to go ahead and select all of them. And then you can go ahead and select the system that you would like to know information, or the collection that you'd like to know information about. I'm going to take our virtual devices collection, because this is actually they're virtual devices, but these are the real ones in our environment. Actually, they are real virtual. Misclick on that a couple of times. They are real virtual devices. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to make this bigger so that we could see what it's actually going to show.
Why don't you make it full screen?
Oh, that would even be better. That's why we brought Garth along. Thanks, Garth. No, just kidding. So yeah, so we can actually see here what it's looking like. Our overall compliance in our virtual devices collection, 69%. But we can actually kind of see where things are coming from. So we have critical updates at 100%, security updates, definition updates, service pack updates, update rollups, that kind of thing. So if I wanted to take a look specifically at security updates, I could click here and get all my compliance information. I'm going to click here and get information about our security updates. And what that is going to show is it is going to show this report, which is the count of computers missing software updates by classification. So where do we actually get to someplace to do something here? If you look, we can actually see how many devices are missing specific updates. So I can go ahead and click on that, and I can see these are the devices, and it'll show how many pages it has of if it goes onto more than one page. We're currently only on one page, so go us. But that will show exactly how many are missing this particular update. Well, now, because I also have right-click tools installed, I can, or because I'm doing this through the right-click tools dashboard here, I can actually go right in and go to one of our console tool, one of our client tools, which is install missing software updates. And when I click on this, it'll take just a second. If you notice, it opens up our remote software center. And when we click on software updates, well, because we did install missing software updates, it defaults to the software updates tab. You can actually see the updates that are waiting on this device. Now, Garth, what do you think? Do you believe me? This is what really is missing?
It's 11:15 here on the East Coast. So what I would say is, how does this compare to what's actually on the workstation?
Absolutely. So great question. So if you look, this is Win10 Demo 2, which I'm actually already logged into over here. And I went ahead and went into Software Center on this device. And if you look at Software Center, those are the same 3 that we were talking about just a second ago over here as being the ones that were missing. The other thing that's interesting here is that it actually shows us what the evaluation state is. So application is currently waiting for a service window. If you look at the actual Software Center on the device, it's showing us that it is going to wait for that service window, and it is going to restart. It's got a restart time essentially here listed. And then these other ones are scheduled to install after that time. That's when our deployment rule becomes mandatory, but they're not installed yet. And you can see that here as well by showing that there's no state information. Nothing has happened with these, and essentially nothing's going on with them right now.
So can we reboot the machine from here?
We could. So if you notice, we've got an update that's waiting. Garth and I made bets earlier on if the ones that haven't installed would install, if we tried to, because there's a reboot pending. But common sense wins over whatever else. We can actually reboot this machine right from here if you want to, by clicking again in our report here. Do it. I'm on it. So if we go to our console tools, we can go ahead and restart this system. And what that's going to do is that'll give us a little warning, or give us the tool here that we can actually give a user a warning if they're connected. You could obviously just, if a user's logged in, go ahead and restart the scorched earth. You gotta make it happen. You can give the user a prompt to cancel, which is the one I'll select. You could also skip the restart if there's somebody logged in.
Let's prompt them. Just because
it's me. Will be nice to me. The system's going to restart in 30 seconds. Please save your work and log off. Let's go. Thanks, Marty. Cool. And then we'll go ahead and start. And what that is going to do is it'll tell us on this end that we gave me, Marty M, a prompt to cancel. On this side, what it's looking like is it pops this up. If you hit, there's our message. Thanks, Marty. Hit close. And from here, this is where we can actually abort that shutdown if we want to. So,
isn't that cool?
It is cool.
I'm
going to go ahead and abort that shutdown.
What? I thought you were actually going to restart it, man, and see what was going to happen.
Well, I will, but I want to show something else real quick too. One of the things in another life when I worked as a desktop engineer was we would have people that would say, we would ask them why their machine hadn't been rebooted in 16 months, and then they would say, well, nobody ever asked me to reboot. And you actually can see with this information, you can actually see in the system log that not only did they get a notification that they need to restart, you can actually see here as well that they actually canceled the restart. So if you need to have some kind of a trail that says, hey, what actually happened once I sent that command, inside the event viewer, you actually can see some results of what actually happened once you tried to restart. So Garth says, let's restart it. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let's go down.
Don't give them a notification this time. Just do it.
Just do it. Yep, we'll just go ahead and do it. Absolutely. There we go. So
I just want some music going on.
There you go. If the user's logged in, we're just going to restart.
All right, go for it.
But we'll let them know it's going to happen in 30 seconds.
All right.
Here we go. Start. Restart is successful. If I come over here, it tells us you're going to be signed out. It's going to restart in 30 seconds. Close. Quick. Save your stuff. Close things. Save things. And when we hit 30 seconds, we will see this computer go away because I'm actually logged into it through RDP right now. So it should actually just completely go away. While we're waiting for that, Garth.
We had another poll, didn't we?
We do.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
It's rebooting.
Cool. We do have another poll. Let's go to our second poll.
And that poll is which one again?
That one should be about movies.
About movies.
Okay, yep, we
do. Because
Jeff
skipped over the references
He
about
did
movies.
skip over the reference. So your reference, Garth, was from Buckaroo Banzai. And the minute I saw that reference, it made me think of the one that I used, which was from Ready Player One, which is not a very old necessarily movie. But there is the scene where he dresses up as Buckaroo Banzai in that movie. So there you go. Yeah, so best sci-fi series movies. Oh, you can only pick one?
Yeah,
Oh, rude.
I know. I mean, some of these are really good. Like personally, I'm a fan of The Adventures of the Major Miracle.
So the interesting thing here is the majority of the people that have filled out the poll have never heard of these or are wondering if Garth or Marty made them up.
No. Okay, so I just put in the chat.
Oh, you did?
The IMDb link to
it's real then.
The Adventures of the Major Miracle. And a matter of fact, for those who really care, let me put in the secondary thing, particularly if you're in the United States, like I forget who was from Vegas, baby, but you can go off to just watch and stream it on Amazon Prime, I believe.
I'm going to close the poll. I'm going to read the top 3 results. It's actually tied for a top first.
Okay.
Overwhelming. I haven't heard of any of these movies. And then a tied for second is The Adventures of Buckaroo. And I'm too young for all of these.
I'm too young. The Adventures of Major Miracle only came out in 2020. So just saying.
You tricked them. All right. So our Winton demo 2 is back up. Let's take a look. If we go back here and take a look at in our install missing software updates, what we should see now, this is reaching out to the computer and asking, hey, what's available in your software updates? It may take just a second because it just came back up. We didn't talk long enough about the poll. Where's the poll for Garth as a hipster? Garth, is that actually you in that movie?
It actually is me in that movie.
Okay.
It really is me. I do have an IMDb profile. So that's the secret fact. So.
That's so cool. And I know you.
Yeah.
Cool. So what we maybe came back in too quickly on here. Let me go ahead and come back. What we should actually see is we should see that there are just now the 2 updates that are still remaining. Oh, interesting. Unless it did not, no state information.
Sometimes
still waiting.
It sometimes has to scan.
Sure.
And all the rest of that to return results. So.
Well, let's go ahead and open up Software Center. The other thing I just wanted to show real quick is if we go ahead now and select the ones that have not installed yet, hit install. What we should see over on this side, if we go to updates, is we should see those are going ahead and starting. So you can actually, big thing with Remote Software Center, you can actually go ahead and start things right from here as well. So these are going to download, they'll install, and then we can decide what to do with them after that. Right on.
So just for clarity, Marty, you can do it from the Remote Software Center and it triggers all the software updates on that remote machine. So it's just as if you were on the machine. So it saves you having to call up the user and say, hey, can you install the software update or any of this sort of thing. So
exactly.
So was one of the things we were going to go look at a device and see all the data that comes back from Endpoint Insights?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we had mentioned, or Garth mentioned actually right away, was just the, I always want to go to right-click tools first, even when I'm demoing something different, was the different information that Endpoint Insights is actually bringing into the ConfigMgr database.
So one of them is things like docking stations or applications. So applications are going to show you all the configuration manager applications and whether they're installed or not, and what was the status of them at the last time it inventoried. So this is one of the things where you can say, I've deployed an application, now I want to remove it or see who actually installed it. You can actually use this information for that. But I think we wanted to show docking stations in our example.
I believe we did.
So we can see that we've got the docking stations on here. And the point about showing this is not to show that we've inventoried the docking stations, but the fact that we can create a collection based on this information. And therefore, we can use the right-click tools on that. So on the left side, back in the ConfigMgr console, you can notice that Marty's already got a collection called ThinkPad,
Right there.
just showing all the devices. And if you had something like deployed out a new software update to the ThinkPad docking stations, you can then take an action on it, like force a hardware inventory on all of those devices, or if you had actually just created it, force them to do the machine policy to deploy that software update to them all. So that's one of the things that we're showing how you can use the better together. The idea that whatever data that's inventoried by Endpoint Insights also allows you to turn it into a thing like a collection, and therefore you can use any of the right-click tools actions on those devices.
Yeah, and actually we'll show just here real quickly even how, and I have a blog about this, I believe, that's actually on our website as well, that shows how to create these collections. But essentially, once you get into the query statement, because all of this information is stored right in the ConfigMgr database, you're essentially just creating a query that's looking for our EI docking station, which is one of our additional information we're putting into the database. And then the description can be whatever is listed as the possible descriptions for the databases or for the docking stations. In this example, this is the name of that description, and when we find all the ones that have this description, it essentially is going to create a collection of those devices, essentially. Cool.
Yeah, so that's just this is one of the ways that you can use the data that is collected by Endpoint Insights to better together. Do we have a third poll? I forgot if we have a third poll.
We do, actually.
We definitely do.
And is that one about
software?
It is.
Software. So
yep. I'm going to launch it for you. There it is. Launched.
All right, there you go.
Just
so
because you asked.
One of the things is there's a typo in there, but anyways, we're wondering, do you guys have to manage user installed software? Think of things like Kindle Reader, Firefox, Chrome that's not installed on the per computer basis. The reason why this is important is Endpoint Insights collects this information, and one of the demos that I really want to do, which I think we're scheduling for our next one, for our next webinar, is how we can actually inventory and then ultimately remove that software. I think the poll's in the middle of the thing as you go through that, Marty. But so, Jeff, I think you can probably, since I can't vote on this thing.
That's true. So I'll tell you kind of the rough results here. Overwhelming majority, yes, they do worry about the software that's installed. Second is, nope, they work for organizations that like to live on the edge, live dangerously. And then from there, it's a small percentage. They're not sure what or where to find that software, and then someone else does it for me. So number one answer there is yes, they are worried about that.
Awesome. Very good. This might be just a little bit of a preview of next time. We won't necessarily do anything about that. But one of the things that that Endpoint Insights is actually inventorying is items and software that has been installed by a user rather than just being installed.
Yes, and it looks like you picked one of my sample computers in here. It's got everything from Grammarly to Slack to LiveWriter. I mean, you can tell I was using that for writing all my blogs and stuff. And of course, I got Kindle Reader on there.
Well, yeah, got to read.
So I mean, even look at the WebEx, and you can tell that it doesn't give the version number of the WebEx, but it's got to be an old one when it says the version's not available. So it gives you an idea of who's got it, and then how to do. Then you can work on uninstalling it.
Absolutely.
So we do have a question in here. And they're asking if you can see hardware IDs on a device, and is it possible to see the previously connected hardware IDs? When you're talking about hardware IDs, are you referring to things like, I'm not actually quite sure what when you're saying hardware IDs, because generally the machine has a hardware ID for itself that you could use in something like autopilot. Or are you talking about the SSID, not the SSID, the SMS ID of the device? If you can give us a little bit more clarification, that would be helpful. So I'm going to I'm sorry, Marty, I forget where we're supposed to go from here.
I think that is the last thing that we're going to show. And then if there are any additional Q&A, here we go. Yeah, the additional Q&A questions, we will go ahead and go through that as well.
So there's another question about, can you get the details of a SIM that's installed on a device? If you're talking about a cell phone modem in a laptop, currently we are not collecting that. However, we do have an ideas portal, if Marty wants to bring that up, where I believe that is listed as one of the items on there. And I encourage you to strongly vote that up. And if there isn't stuff in there, if your idea isn't there, see, it's already got 5 votes on it. So I encourage you to vote it up even higher, because when we're going through our reviews on what we're going to put into Endpoint Insights and extend the inventory, the higher the votes on here, the easier it is for me to justify us doing this in the future. Hopefully that's an answer that you like, and I strongly encourage you to vote, you and everybody else to vote for it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that has happened both with right-click tools and Endpoint Insights is somebody came to us and said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could find out this? And Garth said, hey, man, that would be cool. And then it took some time and got some resources and made it happen. So our ideas page is definitely one of the things that we want. It's where we get our inspiration, where we get our information. Absolutely. So, you know, all the things that you'd like to see in both right-click tools and Endpoint Insights, we'd love to see it there as well.
So there's a message in the chat saying, most important, where can I get a sweet Recast t-shirt? Now, I can go through a nice long-winded thing, but I think this is Jeff's question to answer, where you can get a Recast t-shirt from.
Yep, hold that thought, because we do have something in that world coming soon. So great question, Nathan. So I'm just going to leave it at that, very vague, but we are aware of the demand of these Recast t-shirts. Or just come to MMS next year and you can get one as well.
What if you're going to software Workplace Ninja? Will we be able to give t-shirts at Workplace Ninja?
I believe so. Yep. Only if you carry them with you, though, Garth.
Well, that may be possible, but there you go.
We do have a real question, though.
Okay.
From Amanda. Are you able to see see in Endpoint Insights if the software requires a license?
So we cannot see if there's a license required for the software. There are companies that completely normalize data and can tell you if it's license freeware and all the rest of that sort of stuff. What we can do is we can tell you what software is installed on the computer, and generally from there you can visually say, yes, it requires a license, or no, it doesn't require a license on that.
And I did just get confirmation there will be Recast shirts at Ninja Show. So there you go. And so I think Go ahead.
Apparently Kyle wants me to put them on all at the same time. Look, I've got the nifty one over here, and the golf shirts happening here. This, I believe, is one of a kind recast shirt. So.
Oh, here we go. We got clarification on that first question that came through, Garth.
Okay. Just have elevator dice.
Let's go ahead and read that out loud, Garth, just so that.
All right.
We
Have
sure.
fun.
Security team usually sends us tickets where users have used private devices that are not whitelisted by us, just so that we can create the whitelist based on hardware IDs, but sometimes some hardware IDs tend to allow some level of generic workability. Mystery use involves around bringing stuff together on reports. So essentially we're looking for devices that may or may not be allowed by the security team, sounds like to me.
So if the devices are inventoried by ConfigMgr and that hardware ID is in it, then absolutely you will be able to report on it. It's not something directly in Endpoint Insights that's there. If you find on my personal blog, you'll find that I do a lot of questions about inventorying and reporting, and you're welcome to touch base with me there. But Endpoint Insights will only tell you about devices in Configuration Manager, and traditionally a lot of devices are not in ConfigMgr if they're not managed. And if they're managed, then you can do basically anything you want from that standpoint. Oh, like Joey. Oh, yes. So there's another reference about me wearing all the shirts, just like Joey on Friends. So.
All right, we got one more poll. I'm going to launch
Okay.
it regarding pricing.
Okay.
You know, you guys are a really quiet group, dear.
Very, and this is one of our more quiet webinars.
I know.
So.
Like, were we that informative that there were no
Answered every
questions?
question. Yep.
Oh. Are there parts? What I'd love to know is there something that you'd love to see about either Endpoint Insights, right-click tools, or our Shift Loft product that I'll happily voluntold Marty to give a demo at a future date. Jeff and company would love to hear. What do you want to know about? What other questions?
What do you want to know? Yep.
All right. There's a question, is there onboarding with Endpoint Insights, training, etc.? Absolutely. We have a team that is set up to help get you onboarded with all of your, whatever product you would have, if it's right-click tools or Endpoint Insights or Shift Left. Absolutely let us know. You should actually, after you have purchased the product, get some information about onboarding. If you don't, make sure that you reach out to whomever you can. If you have your salesperson, if you have a customer success person, please absolutely go ahead and find out, get with them to help get you set up. Absolutely.
So there's another question. Are the tools agent dependent or agent less on the endpoints? So that's a bit of a loaded question, and I'm going to answer it in a multi-stage. If you're talking about Endpoint Insights, Endpoint Insights itself does require WMI providers on the workstation, and it uses the normal hardware inventory to collect and return data. The second part of that is from a Recast right-click tool perspective. It's both yes. And the answer I'm saying yes is you can use it with an agent or you can use it without an agent. Using it with an agent allows you more flexibility. Using out an agent requires your admins to be admins effectively on all the machines. So there's hopefully that answers your question there, Dean. Then there's another question about onboarding is free for both Endpoint Insights and right-click tools. There's a question about can you display clients not part of a boundary group? The answer to that is yes. And we're not going to be demoing it because it's technically not in the latest version of the product, but it's coming soon for that. What is my favorite report? So, that's a really great question. It's really hard to say what my favorite ones. There are favorite ones because of, I love something about them, but they're not, I don't want to say they're not exciting, but, like the all-in-one. I like the all-in-one because it gives you guys a view of a device. And you'll also find that we're updating it to add more information about a device on there. So that's one of my favorites, but they all have, Leonard, myself, and others have worked quite hard on a lot of these things. And, we all have our little pet ones that we love. Like we're going to demo one in webinar number 5 that has some hidden prompts on it. And it's really kind of cool what you can do with it. So hopefully that answers your question. There's a question about what is shift left. So Marty, you want to take this shift left?
Yeah, we can talk about it real quickly. Shift left is, and this will actually go into our next question. Shift left is a plug-in for ServiceNow. So essentially you can run right-click tools actions inside of ServiceNow. Some user actions, some very common user actions like resetting passwords and things like that. And the idea is that you can do it all within your ServiceNow incident form so that you don't actually have to go out of ServiceNow to do the things that you need to do. The question, one of the other questions is, are there any other help desks that are going to be implemented, or is shift left only going to be in ServiceNow? So that is an excellent way to go ahead and put that on our ideas page, essentially, is what I'm trying to say unsuccessfully, because that is the kind of information and the kind of feedback that we need to know that there is some interest in moving it into another help desk software besides just ServiceNow. Essentially is what we would want with that. So cool.
So there's another question about, is there a list of other tools that Insights and right-click can integrate with? So it's a bit of a, right now, the right-click tools integrates with Configuration Manager. And Endpoint Insights, there's 2 answers to that. The first part of the answer is we technically only support Configuration Manager, but because data gets into Configuration Manager database, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from moving that data into something like ServiceNow, Zendesk. Pick your poison on that. So you can use Configuration Manager as your directory of source and populate those data. Now, if the idea is to talk about will it integrate with something, another tool, of course, they're all escaping me at the exact moment. What I'd say is come talk to us about what your specific need is, and we'll see what we can do for you. So there are 2 different questions on here, one in the chat and one on the Q&A, and one is about TPM. So will Endpoint Insights cover off hardware TPM? So yes, there is a complete report set on TPM within Endpoint Insights. and it will collect the various pieces of data. One of the things I encourage you to do is to security, and I forget where. I know you're in the right spot. See, it's got the TPM details. I just always forget how this thing goes. I always like doing these live. It always scare me when we do these live like this. I haven't tried them out. So you can see from this data set that you'll get a mix of, which is protected, or that BitLocker is not on all drives, or you got TPM issues. So there you go on that sooner. And then to go back to the chat one, does the right-click tools integrate with Intune? So when you're talking about Intune, are you talking about Intune standalone? Because if you're talking about Intune standalone versus connected, we absolutely work with Intune connected. Marty, I believe, has done a webinar on this. Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look in our archives, we've done a couple of webinars about how that all works when you have a co-managed environment.
Anything for prerequisites for upgrading for Windows 11? So that's another one of the questions in here. So if you're talking about from a right-click tools or Endpoint Insights, there's nothing special needed for that. If you're talking about trying to get a report or a dashboard on what you need to upgrade to Windows 11, I want to say yes, but I'm also hesitating because I'm not sure if it's being officially released yet. Yeah. So, Marty, do you remember if the Windows 11 compatibility report sent us?
I have not
shown it to you. Let's put that.
I have not seen a Windows 11 compatibility report set.
So it probably hasn't been released yet, so more to come on that. Ask your salesman on that anytime, and they'll go off to Marty, and Marty will look at it for you.
Sweet.
So there's a comment in the chat about that Kyle's favorite report is the software dashboard. And part of the reason, this is one that will show you what software is installed in your environment. And a matter of fact, we just made a change to that report set that allows you to say, I only want to look at computer-based software. I only want to look at user-based software. And it makes it, it allows you to see much more on your of your environment. So if you only want to see computer-based software, you can run it, or if you only want to see user-based software. So if you unselect computer and pick the virtual, because
so close.
So we can see all the virtually installed software, and we can see things like Kindle Reader. So if you click on the Kindle Reader, apparently you're driving like a madman there.
I am driving like a madman. Okay, now I did it. I went too far. All right, I'll come back.
The point being is that you can see the user installed versus the computer installed software and things of that nature. Well, there's 3 more questions I haven't seen. Oh, sweet. I didn't really, I keep losing the, Daniel, I clearly am not having problems on here. If you are, what I can tell you is that this is being recorded, and that Jeff promises that he'll have it up in 15 minutes. After
15, wow, that's
15
ambitious.
minutes.
How about after this webinar is done, we will be it'll be uploaded to our webpage by the end of the day. How about that?
Okay, I'll go for that. I was actually going to say tomorrow, but
no, I'll do you one better. We'll say end of the day.
All right, there you go. So tomorrow, well, he says by end of business. I'll say by tomorrow, and you can watch for it. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ping Marty or myself, or even Jeff, because Jeff, he likes answering questions.
I do. The more technical the questions, the better.
Yeah. And if you have dad jokes, don't forget, you can email those off to the Chelsea.
Apply to our Twitter. We had, or just email us. Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah.
All right. There is a question. How does
Okay.
Endpoint Insights update? So essentially, there will be updates that come out that maybe make reports run faster. That's happened. That also give you some different information, like we said, the installed for user or computer. And those will come out right now. They come out on the Recast portal, so you can download those and run the installer, and it will install the new set right over the top of the old set, and it will work wonderfully. And if you have any problems, then we have a customer success team that can help out with any of those type issues. But yeah, it's available on the Recast portal to go ahead and download.
And the approximate, I won't say it's every month, but every couple of months for sure, you'll see that we've made some sort of update to it. So again, I encourage you to go off to the ideas portal, tell us what you want us to do. And that's where we go off and do things. So this installed user and computer thing is exactly came back from feedback that we got from people just like you.
Cool.
So I'm going to steal the screen back here because Angela said that she's in the UK and her day ends in 10 minutes. So if I want to stick to my word, I have 10 minutes to get this video uploaded. So we've got 2 webinars coming up to kind of complete the Endpoint Insights series. One is August 17th, and obviously the following month we have September 13th. So you can easily register for those at our website if you haven't already. Highly recommend that you do so. I also owe 4 $100 gift cards. So Amanda L, congratulations, Millie R, Mark S, and Phil N. I will be emailing those out today, so check to keep an eye on your inbox. Also check your spam folder, as sometimes those gift cards tend to get sent to that direction. For the usual, if you want to learn more about any of our products that we talked about today or Shift Left, jump over to recastsoftware.com. We've got a bunch of additional content, and like I mentioned earlier, you can view our past webinars. That link was shared in the chat. We'll also be sending out a link to this recording shortly as well. So thank you all for coming today. Garth, Marty, any final words?
Hope the rest of your day is going great.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, thank you.
Fine, thank you, everyone.